Hello everyone, and welcome to my obligatory Game Awards nominees video. I think the website's working now. This is genuinely the most embarrassing website I've ever visited. It's so bad. So I think I've found some workarounds, and it's also like 2 in the morning, so there shouldn't be that many people on it. I'm not giving the Game Awards my information, so I'm not going to be actually voting. However, we will keep track of my choices, and when the actual stream happens, which I will be streaming the Game Awards, I don't know how I got into the habit of doing it every year, but it's something I actually look forward to. I used to kind of look forward to Summer Games Fest just because it's so funny. More than anything. Like, occasionally there'll be something there that's like, oh, that looks cool. But for the most part, I think it's just funny how horrible these shows are. It's kind of like watching a terrible movie with friends. Anyway, I don't really have any opinions on the esports teams or the content creators. I know who most of the content creators are, but that I mean like 3 of 5, but you know, that's better than nothing. I just don't really have any opinion on that because I don't watch any of them. So, oops. So we're just going to talk about the games. And starting off with most anticipated game. Come on. Come on. I think for me personally, because Grand Theft Auto 4 was the last Grand Theft Auto game I played because I pretty much thought they perfected the formula in that one. And I didn't really care to play 5, and 5 has been here for so long that, you know, I don't really care about 6 either, personally. I understand why people are excited. And, you know, the new tech, it could make it very interesting. I think 007 is probably, like, the black sheep of this category in that, why is it even here? Like, people are interested to see what it'll be, but I don't think they're like, oh, my most anticipated game is 007 First Light. Like, no. Even like Resident Evil Requiem, which I think it's hard to say is probably your most anticipated game, even if you like Resident Evil, because they just make Resident Evil all the time. Like, this isn't a momentous occasion, I don't think. I'd say kind of the same with The Witcher. Kind of the same with Marvel's Wolverine, to be honest, and that's why Grand Theft Auto is going to win, in my opinion. All right. I had to start at the end because otherwise we would get spoiled on the most important category, Game of the Year. So, oh God. I should mention, I haven't seen any of the nominees. I just know that one of the independent games has withdrawn their nomination. I think it was Megabonk, right? Because they're not a debut studio technically. They have a different name. And that Expedition 33 got like 1 billion nominations. Those are the 2 things I know. So seeing this is rough. I think the Minecraft movie will probably win just because it had the biggest cultural impact. I didn't hear anything about Until Dawn, which is crazy because I feel like people still like Until Dawn, right? So you'd think I would have heard something. I had no idea there was a Splinter Cell show. It's probably nothing too special. I don't know. It kind of looks cool, I guess, like art style wise, maybe, but that might just be for the promotional still. I heard people were not super pleased with Devil May Cry, and of course The Last of Us Season 2 is based on The Last of Us 2, so it caused a fair amount of friction, let's just say. So I think it's probably going to go to the Minecraft movie. I have no opinion on this. Like, I guess the only one I know anything about really is the Minecraft movie, because I only know what other people think about these. At least I've seen some of the Minecraft movie. It's not good. It's not terrible either. So I guess that's the best you can get for best adaptation this year. Sheesh. Best multiplayer. Okay. I don't know what Arc Raiders is, to be completely honest. If I was going to give it to a game, I mean, if you just look at the games on this list, which one do you think is the most me-coded game of all of these? That's right, it's Peak. It's literally Peak, okay? I think there's a chance it could go to peak. I really don't think Battlefield 6 or Elden Ring Night Rain will get this one. Maybe Elden Ring Night Rain. It's just, you know, the reasons people like Elden Ring are not generally the reasons they would like a multiplayer game, right? In my opinion. It could go to peak, but I think it'll probably go to Split Fiction, in my opinion. And it's not even that I think Split Fiction's like necessarily better than any of these other games, but this studio is a favorite of the Game Awards, so that's my take. Racing. Oh, interesting. I don't usually pay that much attention to this category, because normally it's a bunch of games that I know nothing about. And to be clear, I know nothing about these actual sports games. But I do know about Mario Kart World and Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and it'll be very interesting to see if the Game Awards just gives it to Nintendo because it's Nintendo, or if they'll give it to Sonic Racing because it got a fair amount of buzz, you know, for being like maybe better than Mario Kart World. I mean, to be fair to Mario Kart World, basically impossible to follow up Mario Kart 9, or Mario Kart 8, sorry. It's basically Mario Kart 9, because it re-released on Switch. It was like a completely different game. But anyway, I think it'll probably go to Mario Kart. That's where I'm placing my bet, but my heart is with Sonic Racing. It's my ancient Sonic fan genes coming back to influence my decision making. Oh, there's more than 5 on this one. I don't think 2 Point Museum will win, so let's see. I don't know what The Alters is. Never heard of that. Could be interesting. I've never heard of Tempest Rising either. I do know about Jurassic World Evolution 3. I'm kind of surprised it got nominated, but I guess, sure, if you're like struggling to find another sim strategy game. Then again, they have 6 in here, so they didn't have to nominate it. There must be more to it than what I've seen, which is just kind of like a dinosaur game. Civ 7 and Final Fantasy Tactics: The Evilus Chronicles? Evilus? I don't know. I'm sorry. I know people love Final Fantasy Tactics, and that's fair. I probably would also like it if I liked Final Fantasy, because I like tactics games, obviously. Yeah, Fire Emblem and all that. I don't remember if this is good or not. Is this the remake of the game that was like not good? I can't remember how that all shook out. I know that Civ 7 is pretty middling right now. Like, some people like it, some people absolutely hate it. So, you know, balances out in the middle. I feel like it's going to be one of these two. Don't click on the dinosaur game. And because it's Square Enix, I think I'm just going to go with Final Fantasy Tactics as my prediction. The Game Awards love Square Enix. This is something else you should know. Oh, Split Fiction's also here. Best in Family. I don't think Split Fiction will win this one because it's, I mean, technically a family game, but it's a little bit more like teenagers and up, I would argue. I mean, this is probably Donkey Kong Bonanza, right? Because Bonanza is definitely better than Mario Kart, and I think they would pick Mario Kart over Sonic. And as much as I know nothing about LEGO Voyagers, I have seen LEGO Party because YouTubers play it. And it seems like it's pretty good for, like, you know, a modern LEGO game, let's just say. I mean, a LEGO spin-off, I guess. I don't even know what to call this. But it seems surprisingly good, let's just put it that way. But I don't think it's going to beat Donkey Kong Bonanza. So that's my pick. Best Fighting. Okay. Oh my. Well, 2 of these are fighting game collections, and I'm pretty sure the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection is kind of not great. I haven't heard much about Capcom Fighting Collection 2, so I imagine it's fine. Like, it's serviceable. I've definitely heard about 2XKO. Is this game even out? I thought this game was still, like, putting out pre-release trailers and stuff. Am I wrong about that? Well, anyway, I've definitely heard a lot about this game, and none of it's been good. which really just leaves Fatal Fury and Virtua Fighter, which is crazy. Like the fourth and fifth rungs on the fighting game ladder. It's interesting for them to have a chance to shine here. The problem is I don't know anything about Virtua Fighter, unfortunately. So it's hard for me to say whether Fatal Fury or Virtua Fighter is better. So I just have to go with which one I think has more name recognition, which at this point I think is probably Fatal Fury because of Smash Bros. That would be my guess. I don't think they're probably getting, the people who vote for the Game Awards they can't be proficient in every genre, right? So I feel like part of predicting these Game Award winners is knowing sort of the hype around a game. And I feel like this game had way more hype than Virtua Fighter, but I could be wrong. Best RPG. Wait, The Outer Worlds 2 came out this year? Wow, I didn't even know. That's crazy. Really, I think, not to, talk bad about Obsidian, because I do quite like some of their work, but I think it's really between Clair Obscur and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which obviously Clair Obscur wins in that battle. I mean, even if it was Clair Obscur versus anything else, Clair Obscur is going to win. Once again, just like reading the room on the hype for a game, Clair Obscur is like the most hyped up game of the year. And it has 12 nominations because of it, right? So hey, it's kind of like a interesting year for games if, this sort of traditional RPG wins all the awards. Usually it's like a 3D action game that wins most of the awards, but hey. So that's a little bit of a shake-up anyway, even though Clair Obscur is basically just one of those games but with RPG mechanics. Like, it has all the visual language of one of those AAA, a God of War game, modern God of War, or a Last of Us game or whatever. It's just Clair Obscur. So, action adventure. Hey, we were just talking about that. Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Ghost of Yotei. This is interesting because I think if Silksong wasn't here, I might actually give it to Indiana Jones because a lot of people were pretty high on this game when it came out. They quite liked it. But yeah, I mean, Silksong, right? Surely. I haven't heard very much about Death Stranding 2, so I don't think it's going to do great. Obviously, it's getting nominated because Kojima, but again, I haven't heard that much about it. And Death Stranding 1 was already a weird-ass game, so I can only imagine this one's even weirder, which isn't, great for your award viability. So it's really just Ghost of Yotei or Hollow Knight Silksong, really. I mean, I didn't talk about Split Fiction at all, but Split Fiction is just fine. So between those two, I'm going with Silksong every time. Even though Ghost of Yotei is pretty good, as far as I know. I don't have a PlayStation, so. Lizard Cube, what a fun studio name. Best action game. Doom the Dark Ages came out this year? That seems like it's a long time ago. Oh well. It was probably December of 2024 or something, so it wasn't eligible for the last awards. Sorry to the ninjas and the gun people, but I think the Greek gods are winning this one. That would be my personal feeling, anyway. Hades 2. Hades had such a large amount of acclaim, and Hades 2 is just that, but more. It's different, obviously, but, in terms of the layman's perspective, it's Hades, but more. And it looks really pretty, so I feel like Hades 2 is kind of a shoo-in, right? Yeah. I mean, if they give it to Battlefield 6, I'll be kind of mad. But I don't think they will. Oh, there's the images. Took a little while to load in. VR, AR, this one's tough because I don't have a VR headset, so I've not played any of these games or even really seen much about them because it's so hard to, capture a VR game for, a YouTube video or something. So I know nothing about the Midnight Walk. Actually, I really know nothing about any of these, but I see Deadpool and I see Alien. And because I feel like a lot of people are also in this boat of not really knowing that much about VR AR games, they're going to vote for a face they like a face they know. So, Deadpool? I'm voting Deadpool. Why not? Best mobile game. Wow. Well, this one's a blowout, right? It's Uma Musume? Definitely. Like, if we're talking cultural impact this year, Uma Musume is the hugest thing to happen for at least a few months in gaming, probably. Which I still find hilarious that they literally made a horse racing gacha game. That's like, you couldn't be more on the nose. But yeah, I don't know. I have a really weird relationship with this game because I like it just based on the concept of it being like so blatantly obvious that it's trying to take your money. Like, yes, we are a horse racing game. Come bet on horse races, essentially. There's just something about that I find entertaining. I mean, I'm picking it anyway, but, you know, it is like a money-sucking gacha game like any other. Best debut indie. Okay, so this is where Megabonk is, and that's why Megabonk is leaving. I've never heard of Despelote. That's my bad. It looks pretty cool. It's got an interesting aesthetic, is what I mean. Interestingly, I actually know about the other nominees in this category, all the other ones. Dispatch, I'm a little mixed on it. I am happy that it's here, for one, because I like superhero stories, especially ones where villains have to try to redeem themselves, and that's what Dispatch is all about. And two, because I do feel like there was an empty void in the gaming sphere, let's say, for Telltale type games. So I'm glad this is back, and it seems to be quite popular. However, it's up against, in my opinion, two titans, which is Clair Obscur and the much smaller titan, Blueprints. I really love Blueprints, and I don't really have any strong feelings about Clair Obscur, and yet I know Clair Obscur is going to win, which sucks. I love Blueprints. Ah! Alright. God damn it. Why does it get to be in both categories? It's just gonna win again! I mean, I know what Ball X Pit is. I guess I'm not too surprised it got nominated. It's an interesting idea, anyway, and it's got cool art design, so that helps. I don't know about Absalom. I have no clue about Absalom. It does look interesting, though. Are indie games developing, like, a new art style? Like, just seeing these two side by side, it makes me think, like, plus Hades. Maybe that's just it, is that Hades influenced game art style when it came out, and people are still, you know, being influenced by it. And that's not a bad thing, obviously, because it looks good. Like, I'm not gonna get mad about that. I just do find it interesting now that I see them all lined up like this. Once again, my hope would be that Blueprints will win something, but it's just gonna go to Clair Obscur again, probably. Whatever. I'm locking in Blueprints for independent game. Debut indie can go to Clair Obscur. Independent game can go to Blueprints. This split the fiction on that one. Community support. Well, this is pretty much just a guess again. I always think No Man's Sky is kind of a shoo-in for this category because, you know, the community support is literally what saved the game. I don't think it's going to be Helldivers 2, because I remember at the beginning of this year there was, like, a lot of people angry at the dev team and, like, the community team about Helldivers 2. But hey, I don't know, maybe. I've not heard anything about Final Fantasy. I've not heard much about Baldur's Gate either. In terms of the community support, anyway. I know about the game, obviously. So I feel like it's probably between No Man's Sky and Fortnite, and I think between the two, the one with more cultural relevance currently is Fortnite. So that's what I'm going to pick. I think they've given it to No Man's Sky at least once before, so they don't, like, have to give it to them at all. What? Oh, best ongoing. Well, okay, this is interesting, because once again, I feel like it's between two, which is Fortnite and Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals made a huge splash this year, but obviously it's still not as big as Fortnite, the biggest game ever other than Minecraft. However, Fortnite is also old, which I think will lead people away from it in this case. I would pick Marvel Rivals, is what I'm saying. And I hope Marvel Rivals wins. I don't really have much of a horse in this race at all. Like, none of these are games I particularly love. But I like Marvel Rivals because I like Marvel characters, and it does a pretty good job of adapting them, and that's really all I know. It looks cool. And people seem to like it, so that's what I'm going to pick. Games for Impact. This is always a tough category because usually these are smaller games. I know about South of Midnight because it was in a lot of trailers before it came out. I know about Wanderstop because it was in a Nintendo Direct, I do believe. I think the most Game Awardsy game here is probably South of Midnight. And I don't think it's going to win anything else. Like, it is nominated in at least one other category we've already seen. So I could definitely see it being South of Midnight, which is, I think, what I'm going to pick for my prediction. It could be Wanderstop too. It could be any of these, to be honest. I really just don't know that much about them. So I'm going to pick the most AAA feeling one of the bunch. Innovation in accessibility. Doom the Dark Ages. That's kind of surprising to me. I don't know what was going on with it, so I don't know what its innovation in accessibility would be. Could just be South of Midnight again. Maybe this one's South of Midnight and the other one's Wanderstop. Maybe that's my my pick then. Because I usually like to spread them out. Other than, like, the obvious favorite game wins, like, 5 awards. But other than that, usually a game will just win 1. So... yeah, I'll go with South of Midnight for accessibility, and I'll go with Wanderstop for games for impact. That's, I don't know. Best performance! Wow, a lot of Claire Obscure. Who would have thunk it? Oh, and Troy Baker is here. Obviously, I don't think any of these performances are bad. They're all good. It's kind of hard for me to say which one is, like, better than another one, because, again, I haven't played Claire Obscure or Ghost of Yotei or Indiana Jones. I haven't played Silent Hill F either, but I have seen more gameplay footage of it than these other games, because I was interested in it. So, sure, I'll go with Silent Hill F. That's my pick. I mean, it's probably going to be somebody from Expedition 33. But I really couldn't even tell you who is the problem. If there was one person from Expedition 23, I could confidently pick them. But because there's 3, and I don't even know which characters they play, I'm in trouble. So, yeah. Best audio design. I don't think my strategy last year of picking the horror game actually worked out, because my thought was, well, horror games live and die on audio design, right? Like, if a scene isn't tense enough, it's not scary. And so, ideally, a horror game would win best audio design, which would be Silent Hill F again, which I wouldn't be, like, I feel fairly confident in voting for it here. But Claire Obscure is here too. I don't feel like Claire Obscure had outstanding sound design, really. Am I crazy? I'm gonna go with Silent Hill again. Score and music. Okay, now this is different. Literally, I think it's between the indies again here. Question is, which one? I don't think it's Hades, to be honest. I like Hades' soundtrack, but it's not, you know, gonna beat Silksong or Claire Obscure. if I want to play smart, I should give it to Clair Obscur because we all know it's going to sweep the damn award show. Like, if I'm trying to get my predictions correct. But personally, I would vote for Silksong every time. I'm giving it to Silksong. Can't help myself. All right. Art direction. Okay, now this is interesting. I feel like all of these games could potentially win. Here's my thought, though. Hades 2 and Silksong, and I guess Death Stranding 2 also sort of goes along with this. These are all sequels, right? Which means, obviously, we have seen their art styles before, which means they are not very, they don't feel special, even though they are all technically very good, right? Like, if I was just going to pick based on these images, I'd probably pick Hades 2, right? But that's not really indicative. I think it's between Clair Obscur and Ghost of Yotei, personally. And between the two, I think I'd probably pick Clair Obscur here. It's not super flashy or exciting or different. But, it looks like a really cool AAA game, and it wasn't made by a AAA studio. So that's worthy of an award. I don't mean to sound like I hate this game or anything, or the people that made it. It's just everything else is an underdog compared to it, so it's hard to root for it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think Clair Obscur will win. Best narrative. Interesting. I feel like this one might be the sort of gimme sent to Death Stranding 2. I've kind of ignored it in like every category. I feel like that would make some sense. Although Clair Obscur and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Actually, I have heard that people didn't really like the ending of Clair Obscur. So maybe that's a reason why it wouldn't be voted for this category specifically. Again, mileage may vary on if that's true or not. But, I mean, the problem is I'm like, well, I want to pick Silent Hill F again, but that's just because I know about Silent Hill F. I think I'm going to give it to Death Stranding 2. That's my choice. Have I given anything to Ghost of Yotei yet? It would be crazy if Ghost of Yotei won nothing. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. Game direction. Okay. This is the perfect time to give Ghost of Yotei a pick, I think. It could go either way between Death Stranding and Ghost of Yotei for these last two awards. I mean, Split Fiction could win this one too, I think. Not so sure about Expedition 33. But probably. I'm gonna change my vote. For Best Narrative, I'm gonna give it to Ghost of Yotei. No. I'm actually changing it to Silent Hill F. I'm giving Best Narrative to Silent Hill F. And for Game Direction, I'm giving it to Death Stranding 2, which means Ghost of Yotei still has nothing, which feels bad, but, Finally, Game of the Year. Oh my god. I did not expect to see Donkey Kong Bonanza in here. That's kind of crazy. And Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Huh, okay. I mean, I know that game had some hype, but I didn't think it had that much hype. Unfortunately, it's obviously just Clair Obscur, right? There's really no contest, unfortunately. Like, I want to say, like, well, Hades 2, Donkey Kong Bonanza was really good. Hades 2, a sequel to a beloved game that a lot of people like. Same with Silksong. They could win, but probably not. It's just going to be Clair Obscur. So those are my picks. It's simultaneously an interesting year and a very uninteresting year of nominees, I would say. That's kind of what happens when you nominate Clair Obscur for 12 categories, and it's probably going to win at least half of those. The interesting thing about it is some of the categories I normally wouldn't care about, like racing game, are actually kind of competitive this year. It's just Game of the Year really isn't. So that's interesting. Both the indie game categories I'm very invested in, even though Clair Obscur will probably just win them both, which is why I even have two categories at that point. I think we've been through this before. It would be special if an indie game technically did win Game of the Year. But I don't know. It's hard for me to be like super excited about Clair Obscur being the indie game that wins Game of the Year, because it's clearly like a AAA game coming from an indie studio, right? Like, it's not trying to like break the mold of game design, which I guess is why it'll win, because the Game Awards loves things they already know. So that's why there's 4 sequels in this category. Anyway, actually, Donkey Kong Bonanza is kind of a sequel to Odyssey too. So I guess I should be happy that the only original game is probably going to win. What can I say? I'm a hater. I will be streaming the Game Awards when it occurs on December 11th. I hope you will come watch it with me, because it is pretty funny. And who knows, maybe I'll actually get an announcement I'm interested in. Probably not, but hey, you never know. And yeah, I'll see you guys then. Also, you should leave your thoughts about the Game Awards. I imagine they'll all be very, very happy and, cheerful, as always. All right, bye.